How do we stay calm when the world around us panics? Most people desperately want to control outside events and avoid stress rather than train their stress resilience. I want to share my framework on how you can cultivate a calm mindset even under extreme pressure through something I call the courage to confidence flywheel, and how breathwork and cold exposure can help you become the best version of yourself. I had trained martial arts for 20 years, practiced breathwork, and became an instructor and taught all these techniques to hundreds of people. But recently I realized something. I was too comfortable. I had my routines, my training, my work, but I wasn't truly testing myself anymore. So I recently started with Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. There's nothing quite like being a beginner again and crushed under a more skilled opponent. Constantly being choked out reminds you what pressure really feels like. But that's the exact moment where staying calm makes all the difference. Mike Tyson once said, "Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face." It's easy to stay in control when life is predictable. The ability to stay calm in chaos isn't just useful on the mats or in the ring. It's the key to handling stress, pressure, and unexpected challenges in everyday life. Why do some people break under stress while others stay composed? The answer lies in how your autonomic nervous system reacts to pressure and how much agency you think you have over this pressure. If you face a challenging situation, your fight or flight system gets triggered and adrenaline gets released in your body and brain. So, for some people, this inner seismograph is really sensitive and they get into a highly aroused state pretty quickly. In other words, they panic, get stressed out, or suffer from high anxiety. And other people can handle unexpected events or stress with more composure. I, for example, was a very shy kid, an introvert, and was getting very nervous whenever I had to give a talk in front of a class. It was so bad that I froze in front of the whole class, started to stutter, and made language errors that were embarrassing. But on the other side, I was very comfortable in sports competition settings, like gymnastics. So our inner arousal seismograph is domain specific. We can be very confident in one domain, but at the same time have no confidence in another domain. And it's also situation specific. In my case, for example, I could speak to a group of friends perfectly and tell stories and jokes without getting nervous. However, in a school setting where I would speak in front of the same group of friends, plus the teacher, everything changed. And my presentation skills dropped tenfold. So imagine if you could handle your inner seismograph a little better. How would your life and performance change? I could easily speak and present 10 times better when I was calm. That's a huge difference. Now imagine how this can shape important decisions you make in life. What decisions do you shy away from because your inner seismograph is too sensitive? When I think of dormant potential, it's not innate talent, it's our ability to control our inner seismograph. So the question is, how can we learn to deliberately minimize the sensitivity of our inner seismograph? And also learn tools and strategies on how we can calm ourselves down if we get into an undesirable high arousal state, aka panic state. First, we need to know the difference between courage and self confidence. Self confidence is acting without fear. Courage, on the other hand, is acting despite it. Or, if you want to put it in other words, self confidence is about minimizing uncertainty, and courage is about overcoming doubts. So, although these two character traits can seem similar, the underlying processes to build these traits are fundamentally different. If we want to be able to master our inner seismograph, we cannot start with self confidence. Yes, we can change the environment, like choosing an easier game to play or decreasing the stakes, taking the easy route. But That would miss the point, wouldn't it? We want to get mentally stronger. We don't want to make it easier. So we need to build courage first by overcoming our limitations, fears, discomfort, and pain. And by doing that regularly and deliberately, we strengthen our resilience. We recalibrate our inner seismograph. So, in my case, with my speech insecurity, it was to deliberately seek out situations where I openly shared my opinion and thought in front of a group. So I did everything to create this tension of being judged and then overcame this inner discomfort. I offered my opinion whenever a teacher would ask a question. I proactively engaged in conversations and I volunteered as an assistant teacher in my martial arts school. Bit by bit, I became more confident by deliberately putting myself in front of a group and through similar situations. While I found my confidence and competence increasing in the domain of speaking and teaching in front of a group, I still had areas where I felt highly insecure. But this time, my readiness to tackle insecurities and fears in other areas increased because the habit of overcoming my fears in the public speech domain was still fresh inside me. So, the interesting thing here, if I think about those times retrospectively, is that while I deliberately practiced facing my fears in one area, I would create a general inner attitude to lean towards my fears, which helped me in other areas. But the problem was, this forward lean towards overcoming general fear always disappeared again once I became too comfortable with life. This is where focusing on confidence alone can become a golden prison, where we enforce this character trait, confidence, not by overcoming fears, but by engaging in safe actions, only where we feel confident already. In those moments, we are again vulnerable to chaos, uncertainty, and perceived threats to our comfortable position in life. This is what happened to me, and this was the main reason why I started Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. This is also the reason I want to have an ongoing courage to confidence flywheel set up. I want to have something in my life where I can still feel this mental friction that I need to overcome with courage, which then leads to increasing confidence. A true beginner's mindset, and not only weak affirmations where I tell myself to have a beginner's mindset in a domain where I feel confident already. This, for example, is the main reason I love taking ice baths. Taking ice baths, cold plunges, or cold showers is the simplest method for cultivating a courageous mindset. It's teeth brushing for the mind, an ongoing activity that keeps my mind strong and healthy. It's like a meta skill that makes me confident in facing discomfort. There is never a time when I look forward to going into an ice bath, even after 10 years. But the feeling I get from it is very energizing and motivating. It builds mental resilience that affects my stress seismograph. It makes me react calmer to things that would otherwise stress me out. But it doesn't need to be cold exposure. If you hate the cold, you can do something else. Or, or maybe it's even a stronger reason to start seeking out the cold. But if you live in an environment where it's difficult to take cold showers, or suffer from a disease where you literally shouldn't expose yourself to those temperatures, then set up your own courage to confidence flywheel. Let me tell you another great thing about cold plunges or cold showers. You get to experience the direct connection between stress and your breathing. What does breathing have to do with stress and resilience? Everything, because your breathing is a direct gateway to your autonomic nervous system, which governs your inner stress seismograph. Through calming breathwork techniques, you can directly influence your autonomic nervous system. In chaotic everyday life situations, the direct connection between your breath and your stress level is not always evident, but In an ice bath, you see that connection very clearly. The cold shock makes you panic, so you hyperventilate and want to jump out of the water immediately. But if you deliberately and gradually calm your breath down, you notice that your whole body and mind calm down, and you're able to relax in the ice bath and accept the cold. Deliberate breathing techniques are something Navy SEALs, police corps, or professional athletes use in life or death situations or high pressure competitions. Navy SEALs use something called box breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, and hold again for 4 seconds. They use this technique to regain focus and prepare for action. Other breathing techniques are for calming the mind. Slowing down your breath is calming. Studies show that breathwork techniques like coherent breathing or cyclic sighing directly reduces cortisol, lower heart rate, reduces stress, and shift your brain out of survival mode back into problem-solving mode. Whether this pressure comes in the form of being trapped under a 200-pound opponent or just dealing with an overwhelming day, mastering your breath means mastering your reaction to stress. The same applies to life. You can't avoid stress, but if you train yourself to stay composed in discomfort, stress loses its power over you, over your brain. You can feel stress without being stressed. Marcus Aurelius wrote this great quote: "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." So create your own courage to confidence flywheel. And if you want to learn more about breathwork, I have a free 15-day breathwork course that teaches you all the fundamental breathwork techniques. And don't forget to subscribe. See you next time. Bye.